Hi, this is Scott with 4D Tech. Today we are in an 18 and newer body style F150 that came equipped with a 4-inch screen. We will be performing the 4D Tech 4-inch to 8-inch conversion with Sync 3 in this vehicle. To perform this conversion, we need a few basic tools. A 7mm socket on a socket wrench, a small flat blade screwdriver, a 7mm nut driver, and some plastic dash removal tools. The dash removal tools and the 7mm nut driver are available on our website for your convenience. Let's get started. First, we need to unsnap the front edge of this upper tray to get to the upper screws of the bezel. To do that, we're going to grab one of our plastic dash removal tools and kind of lift up on the corner to get underneath it and work our way across to undo the 3 clips. There's one in the center. It's easiest to use this rigid tool and twist when you get near the clip, and that'll release it. Now there are 2 7mm screws at the top of this bezel that must come out. We're going to take our socket wrench. All we need to do is lift up on this tray a little bit to get to the screws and take them out. With those 2 screws out, we're going to grab the top edge of this bezel and pull outward. And that'll release the bezel, and we'll pop the rest of the clips off. And now we need to disconnect it. To disconnect it, these upper connectors have a little clip where my finger is right here that you push in on the end and pull the connector out. Same thing with this one. Then these connectors down here have clips underneath them. This one, the clip is near the bezel, and you'll squeeze the clip with my finger underneath here and unplug the connector. This one has the clip right there that we're going to squeeze and then unplug that connector as well. If any of these upper switches are different than the bezel that came from 4D Tech, you'll need to move them over. In this case, this switch, because it's the double switch, needs to get moved over to the 4D Tech bezel. Simply on the back of here, you push in on these side tabs and push the switch out the front of the bezel. While we have this switch in hand, I had already removed the other switch out of the 4D Tech bezel, and we'll push these in so that's ready for when we put this 8-inch bezel on later. Next, we need to remove the 6 screws holding the existing screen and module in. With the 6 screws out, we'll pull the existing screen and module out, and we need to disconnect it. On the back here, this antenna connection up here, there's a clip on the bottom side of it that we'll squeeze with our finger and unplug it. This cable here, where my thumb is, you squeeze that clip and pull that out as well. The main connector here, we're going to push in on this little lock with my finger and pull the gray lever away and flat till the connector becomes disconnected. We're going to set this screen and module out of the way. We will need to route a couple cables down because we're going to be replacing the single USB port in here with a USB hub so that's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatible. So first we'll remove this USB plate and port down here. The best way to do this, it's very rigid in there and recessed, is to take the small flat blade screwdriver, get firmly in on the side so that you're not going to slip and scratch the plastic, and just pry outward and get your fingers underneath there and pull it out. Once you have it out, there's a tab on the top and bottom of this USB connector. You open both tabs at the same time, which you can do with your fingernails or the flat blade screwdriver to get that USB cable out. We're going to put this plate out of the way. It won't get used again. We're going to be routing a different cable so this can go back in the opening. We're going to be putting this T-harness in, which supplies power to the new hub. This T-harness will actually draw the power for the hub from the new Sync 3 APIM module, which is where the OEM draws the power from. To do this, we're going to take the main 54 connector and on this side of the T-harness, and with the lever flat, begin to push it into the T-harness till the lever starts to move, and then push the lever the rest of the way to lock it in. We're going to grab the USB cable that was included in the kit. Grab this power connector. We took just a couple lengths off of here and left the rest bundled up. And we got to pass these down to the hub opening. You'll reach behind this module and pass them down. And pull them out the hub opening. This T-harness and the extra cabling can go up in the main opening there. Now, if you have a console in your vehicle, the USB hub is located in the console instead of up here. The USB hub is a different size, which we'll send to you if you have the console. We send you the different size, but taking out the USB hub and the connections are the exact same. Same procedure, same connections. Now that we have these cables down here, we'll grab the new hub from 4D Tech, which is a dual port hub that's Android Auto and Apple CarPlay compatible. And we need to plug these cables in. Plug the power connector in there, and we'll plug the USB cable in there, and then slide it in the opening. This is the new touchscreen Sync 3 brain, and it also comes with the brackets already attached to it. This will come already assembled in the kit and ready to go for your vehicle. To connect this, we're going to take this main 54-pin connector from our power T-harness for the hub. Make sure the lever is open on it if it is not, and push it in the APIM till the lever starts to move, and use the lever to draw it the rest of the way in. You'll always want to make sure with these lever connectors that they are fully seated in order for the system to work correctly. We'll take the new USB cable and plug it into the black port here. Make sure you do not reconnect the USB cable we disconnected earlier. It will fit in the opening, but it won't do anything. So you want to tuck that back. Then we'll take this blue antenna connector. There's a little clip on the bottom that we released earlier. You want to point that downward, just like this, and plug that in. We'll tuck our cabling back in and put this in place. Now we need to replace the 6 screws we took out earlier. With the screws back in place, we'll now put the new 8-inch bezel back in the same way the old one came out. First, we need to reconnect these main connectors down here. Make sure the clips are facing down and push them in until they click. And then same thing with this other one. These small connectors up here, make sure the clip is facing away from us. Push those in until they click in. Lift up on this tray, set the bezel in place, and snap it all in. We just need to replace the 2 screws that came out from up here earlier with our socket wrench. With those screws back in, we'll just snap this tray back down. And now that the installation is complete, we'll fire up the new system. It may take a few minutes to fully load the first time that it boots up. And we now have Sync 3 with the 8-inch touchscreen in this vehicle. And since we installed the navigation version, we have navigation with maps as well. Now you see how simple it is to perform the 4D Tech 4-inch to 8-inch conversion in the 18 and newer F150. I'm Scott with 4D Tech. Thank you for checking out our video.